Hello, this is Grace Gunnan and Sterling Walkup's Digital Disruptor Project. For our two companies, we decided to do Urban Outfitters and Apple. Urban Outfitters is, of course, our apparel company, and Apple is our non-apparel company.
History of Urban Outfitters. In 1970, a man by the name of Dick Hayden and his roommate Scott Belair decided to open up their first ever retail store. The mission that they created was to sell secondhand clothing, furniture, jewelry, and home decor. Their target market was college-aged kids with a fun, bubbly personality, which reflected themselves. In 1984, Urban Outfitters created their first ever private label by the hands of Meg Hayne. This private label is now known as Free People. In 1993, Urban sold shares at $18 a pop and went viral and public. In 1994, Anthropologie then stood on its own. And you may ask, why are you mentioning Free People and Anthropologie when this is strictly about Urban Outfitters? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Urban Outfitters own the brands and stores, Free People, Anthropologie, and even the store name called BHLDN. Urban Outfitters decided to digitally transform. From seeing the success of their retail stores, they decided to make a huge change with launching their first ever website back in 2000. This was now an easy way for consumers that cannot shop at stores physically be able to purchase items of their choice online. In 2016, Urban Outfitters decided to put digital first on their omni-channel strategy. This included a savvy mix of media, videos, slideshows, and drop-down boxes. This website was now very easy to navigate and also offered sales and exclusive items to keep customers coming back. A source of this was Bicentric Digital. Urban Outfitters have designed certain tactics to reach the consumer digitally, one of them being multimedia and personalization. Urban Outfitters have redefined the meaning of content and allowed the customers to identify products based on their size, color, price, and style, which they made them feel as if they were in control. Another tactic they have is a fresh take on content. They decided to focus on music and emerging talent for their community, not just shopping. They built a video and music streaming channel known as OU Live, which this gives the customer a welcoming sense and allows them to subscribe to the channel, making them keep in touch with Urban Outfitters, whether it be for that or shopping. The last tactic they have is the omni-channel, which is helping with the store's foot traffic. Such a popular brand, shopping in stores can get overwhelming and they might not even have your size or style or anything that you're looking for. Digital enhancement are for the customers to make their life easier while shopping. Urban Outfitters' website design is pretty astounding. The background is a simple white background, but depending on which season it is, it could change. Spring could be a nice pastel color, lavender, yellow, or even in winter, when it's Christmas time, it could be a bright, sparkly red. You never know. They're always on top of their game. They also offer 5 different tabs. It could be women's, men's, apartment, community, and sales. Within those tabs, they could even have more tabs, such as t-shirts, dresses, shoes, accessories, and for apartment, it could be couches, knickknacks, all that good fun stuff. One of the main things for their site that is pretty amazing is that you can shop based on your size, color preference, style, or to see if anything's in stock. This website is very easily navigated and really helps the consumer make a purchasing decision. One of the main challenges that Urban Outfitters face is prices of garments. As you can see in the picture on the slideshow, thrift stores are probably one of Urban Outfitters' main competitors. This being that it's a pendulum in the fashion industry. What was brought in the past can be brought back to life, and that's what thrift stores are really all about. Urban Outfitters have an antique look design, and it costs more. You could simply go down to a local thrift store and buy a couch that looks exactly as the one that you could find in Urban Outfitters. Plus, the thrift store is a lot more cheaper than Urban Outfitters. Therefore, thrift stores are probably one of the biggest competitors against Urban Outfitters. One of the ways that Urban Outfitters ensures its success in beating out competition is by keeping things fresh and new. They are always on top of their game with designs. Yes, again, you could go to a local thrift store and find probably something super similar for way cheaper. But let me tell you, it's not Urban Outfitters. Competitors are going to slowly decline as Urban Outfitters keep in touch with their consumers, not only with just their products, but even their live streams with music. Certain designs are you can't find at a thrift store, aka if you buy one thing at a thrift store but your friend wants it as well and she can't get it at the same price you did. That's why Urban Outfitters will ultimately be successful. Again, they are always on top of their game and they're going to stay that way, with not only just having them as a franchise, Free People, Anthropologie, and all the other stores that they own. They are the new face of the generation.
Hi, this is Grace. So now I'm going to be talking about Apple, which is the non-apparel company we selected for this project. So I'm going to do a short little history on Apple. Apple has a 42-year history. Their first item that reached a large audience was the Apple II computer. The Apple I computer didn't really reach more than a classroom, but the Apple II did reach a pretty large audience. However, they truly found their big success when they released the Macintosh computer in 1984. This is the big boxy computer you see here on the screen and that we all know of as the first Apple computer. 6 years after that came out, Photoshop was sold exclusively on Macs. This was a really big deal, of course. They also continued their success throughout the years through iPods, iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, and AirPods, which we all definitely know about. If you think about it, Apple has been incredibly successful for 36 years. Since the release of the first iPhone in 2009, which I do remember, Apple has been the coolest, trendiest brand on the market. This success has set Apple apart in the tech world, and we will see how their digital transformation has helped them to succeed. So, now I'm going to talk a little bit more about Apple's digital transformation. Honestly, Apple has truly transformed the segment of the tech industry. As you can see on the screen, I drew just a little iPhone. I drew it on my iPad with my Apple Pencil, just to put that in perspective. I have focused on two things that Apple's done that have set them apart from other companies. The first digital transformation is important to note because it's incredibly recent. The fact that this transformation is so recent honestly shows that Apple will continue to make changes to keep them successful. There is now an app called Health Records. This app allows users to streamline their records without having to jump around due to different insurances or medical providers. In doing this, Apple has brought medical and healthcare industries into the digital age. I found this really cool article on Raise Labs by Chris Spitzkoff, and it was actually written in April of 2018, so that's definitely pretty recent. Another transformation to keep in mind is that when the iPhone was released, it was basically three products in one. This was a huge revolution. It was not only a phone, but it was also a widescreen iPod with touch controls, and it had breakthrough internet communication devices. But the big transformation comes into play with the App Store. We all know and love the App Store. I don't use it that often, but I remember when I first got my first Apple devices and I was constantly on it looking for new apps. The App Store made the iPhone basically a 501 product. That's how many apps there were on the first day it launched. Apps give handheld access to so many different things. It made the iPhone a game console, a photo editor, and so much more. Basically, everything we do on our phones is thanks to the App Store. Now we can do literally everything on our phones. You can book a flight, buy your wedding dress, or pay for your coffee with a simple scan of Apple Pay. This cool article was from The Guardian, written by Alex Hearn, and that was also written in 2018. So we know that Apple has basically transformed our lives, but they've also transformed a lot over the course of their history. They have taught us to use our phones as self-service, and you can fix a variety of phone problems, computer problems, all kinds of Apple problems by just chatting with someone on the website from the comfort of your own home. That's what I do anytime I have a problem with my phone or computer. So, I already touched on the history and digital transformation of Apple, but I'm going to go ahead and just talk about some of their tactics that I may have already mentioned or have not already mentioned. So, I just said that Apple has a self service mindset, kind of a do it yourself kind of thing. Just like the App Store, we can do everything from our phones. Apple also brought old fashioned concepts to the mainstream by making them cool and sleek. I think as long as I remember, Apple has been the coolest looking product. I did have a flip phone, but then when iPhones came out, all I wanted was that cool iPhone. It looked so cool and different from anything I had ever seen. They're way cooler than the competition. And when they first made this digital transformation, the iPod was a lot smaller than the MP3. And in today talk, AirPods are wireless when some other companies still have wires with their headphones. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the site design. I think the Apple website is pretty easy to use, but that's not what we're using on a daily basis. What we use on a daily basis would be more like the App Store. In the App Store, like I said, revolutionized iPhones and made it much easier to connect, create, or really anything else than ever before. So I just have a little screenshot from my App Store. The App Store has really changed so much since I got my first iPhone. I was going through all the tabs because I hadn't done that in a while, and I saw that now they have a Today tab, which has little stories on apps for that day. They have a game section with a variety of ways and categories to search through, a normal apps tab with this section. Plus, on this particular day, I had a whole section called Follow the Iowa Caucuses, which I thought was really cool and helpful. And then there's also a section called Arcade, which I had never heard of before, but apparently you can pay $5 and have access to a new world to play in, 100 plus ad free games, no in app purchases. And then, of course, there's the search section. I drew this little cartoon to kind of talk about the challenges and criticisms Apple has faced. They faced a lot of criticisms with their big risks they took when they first started their company, and they still face some today. But iPods and iPhones have ultimately revolutionized technology. There will always be haters. I decided to actually look through some reviews of Apple, and I went to the 1-star reviews, and I saw that the most common complaints were their stores, not getting help in the stores from employees, having to wait too long, and then also the complaint of Apple being too expensive. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about how Apple can ensure success and continue to beat out their competition. Much like their new health records app, Apple should continue their old fashioned approach of building nice stuff and selling it for lots of money. New products are a very important way for Apple to stay relevant. Never in a million years would I have thought I needed a smartwatch or wireless earbuds or even an Apple Pencil for my iPad. But here I am, and I feel like I need all of those things. Apple should continue to do what they do best, making products sleek and cool. Their competition will probably be cheaper, but it won't be Apple. Apple definitely has a lot of success just from their brand name and look of their products alone. And in case studies, we talked about luxury items and how everyone wants them. And I think Apple's definitely like this. Everyone wants to be like people that have Apple products, and word of mouth marketing definitely works for Apple. Thank you so much for listening to our Digital Disruptor project. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about how Urban Outfitters and Apple have digitally transformed. Thank you.